morning, sir. Your IC driving license?
Okay, sir, can you step up from the vehicle, please?
A few months ago, Talking Point received an email from the traffic police. They wanted us to investigate a growing concern. So here I am, tagging along on a sting.
If you do not have a valid driving license, why are you operating like that?
The main purpose, to catch unlicensed drivers.
Possess any driving license?
Because the numbers caught on Singapore roads between 2021 to 2023 have risen by nearly 10%. Join me as I investigate why there is a rising number of people driving illegally on our roads and who are these drivers. The traffic police are mounting an island-wide operation. I'm joining one of the teams at an industrial area where authorities are setting up a checkpoint.
So for today's targeted operations, we are looking for errant motorists that do not possess any driving license, such as commercial vehicles.
Why are you specifically targeting commercial vehicles?
Based on the recent trend, we have noticed there's a significant increase of drivers from commercial vehicles found to be driving without a valid driving license.
Good afternoon, sir. Can I check your driving license?
This one working for delivery company?
Company.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now my officer has stopped one driver. He doesn't possess any valid driving license at all.
And he was clearly driving
Yes.
a delivery van.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you got this 3C since 2019.
Yeah.
It seems that the driver is stopped and he does not have a valid driver's license. And he seems to work for a pretty well-known logistics company.
This driver actually produced a Class 3C license, which is not supposed to drive the commercial van. So we stop him and then we will proceed to summon him with driving without a valid driving license.
This island-wide operation was carried out over 3 days. 9 people were caught driving without a valid driving license. From what I've seen, most were foreigners. To drive commercial vehicles like this, a van for example, you need Class 3 license. And even if foreigners hold a similar license from their own country, they would need to convert it to a Singapore license. To do that, they'll have to pass both a theory and practical test.
A few months ago, we have conducted an operations where we have caught more than 30 drivers, and we noticed there's an increase of foreign drivers whom are driving without a valid license, and they tend to be from the logistics sectors.
By logistics, do you mean people who make deliveries to homes?
Yes, there are drivers who make home deliveries whom all these consumers ordered from online platforms.
But these delivery drivers are not causing anyone any harm, so why be worried about them?
Let me put it this way. If your loved one, could be your parents or your children, whom are crossing the road or are driving on the roads, would you be comfortable if they share the road with these unlicensed drivers?
I mean, put it that way, no. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Why are there delivery men driving illegally on our roads? The only way to find out? By going on a delivery run. Meet Terence Sim. He provides services to a major logistics company in Singapore. Today, he is making his rounds for one of the busiest seasons, the 11/11 or singles sales period.
Terence,
Hey.
nice van you've got here.
Hello. To show you how crazy things can get during 11/11. Make a guess how many parcels I have today.
Wow. Let's see. Okay,
Don't worry, first timers always guess wrongly, man.
first timer, maybe it's first timer luck. I can get it right also. I would say about 80.
Today I have 150, about.
How long will it take you to deliver all 150 packages?
Within 4.5 hours. So it'll be good if you can help me, finish this as soon as possible.
I see. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So usually how I start is I turn on my app and I search by the postal code. So for example, for block 107, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parcels.
Ah, the
Yeah.
trusty blue bag.
Yes. So
How much money can I earn after 100?
I haven't want to ask about money. You follow me, end of the day, I'll tell you how much you can earn.
Okay. Work first, talk later.
Be careful, huh?
So you are the boss. Why do you have to make the deliveries yourself?
I have no choice. Okay, so the first unit happens to be this in my hand.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's a 2276, second last one.
Oh,
That's correct. 帮我签一下。Okay, let's go.
okay. So you are the boss. Why do you have to make the deliveries yourself?
As of now, I have about 24 drivers with me with full-time commitment. But today, I have 3 of them down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every employer's headache. 15% of your workforce is out of action today. Is this common?
Very common. We are just delivering parcels, so they don't really feel committed. They want to take off, they can just take it. So the stress comes to us to cover all these parcels.
Exactly how bad is the manpower crunch in the industry?
I think this issue is the main thing that is driving all of us crazy in this industry. Because firstly is the huge turnover that we are facing. People either can't take the stress or can't take the physical labor, or it's not what they feel that they sign up for. They feel that they're not earning enough, or they're not earning whatever they hope to have earned.
When he cannot handle the delivery, Terence can further outsource his parcels and appoint other companies or even freelance drivers to share the load. So when there is a crunch, there is no telling how many layers of subcontractors are involved before you receive your parcel.
Be careful, huh?
Terence must complete every delivery within the allotted time to avoid a late penalty. That could cost anywhere from 20 Singapore dollars to 50 Singapore dollars per parcel.
So I will
You
take a
already
photo
scanned, so parcel
of the
first.
parcel. Okay.
Okay.
Then unit number.
His company earns between 1 Singapore dollar and $1.20 per parcel. With such tight margins, a fine is the last thing he wants.
The parcels come every single day. So if I do not have a driver handling this area, so sometimes I really have no time to get drivers to come and book for us in time. It's my job to make sure that all the parcels in this area are covered at the end of the day.
How do you ensure that all your subcons have got valid driving licenses?
I send them for training before they start their accounts. So in order to go for training, you need to have a valid license and NRIC. So if I encounter those, assuming they are foreigners without having any licenses, I will just reject them. A lot of foreigners are applying. Like, hi, I'm from whichever country, and they show me that they have a foreign license, or I even have some applying for the job. They say they have a work permit, but no license, but they can drive. So when they are applying, they are already asking for the so-called under-table kind of thing.
Well, why haven't you been tempted to take the risk?
I don't need to resort going under table to maintain my business.
What about the rest of the industry? I mean, with the manpower crunch, it must be tempting to hire foreigners, right?
As far as I know, I've seen and heard quite a number of foreigners working already in other companies and in other warehouses that I've been to. I wouldn't know if they have valid licenses or work permits, but I think it's very common for people to use foreigners already because foreigners are more willing to take up this job at a lower price than locals. Averagely, a parcel can earn you about between maybe $1 to $2. But some foreigners are being offered just 70 cents or 80 cents per parcel and they are still willing to take up the job.
In the short time that I spent with him, I have learned that such deliveries involve a lot of legwork for not much pay. So for the 150 parcels that we delivered today, it took us almost half a day and I would have made about 150 Singapore dollars.
A logistics veteran with over 20 years under her belt, Gina Toh has been trying to address the manpower crunch for years.
I would think that the bulk of them are freelancers. They could probably be coming from, say, Malaysia, with a very simple intent of I just coming to do a delivery gig and to earn some money. They may or may not even know that it's illegal, because to them it's just a matter of taking out a job and getting paid. And the second one could be the foreign workers who are legally employed in Singapore by another company, but moonlight or take up extra jobs or delivery gigs during their off days or free time.
Why does the industry need to hire so many freelancers?
Post-COVID, there is a surge in e-commerce parcels delivery. And this sudden surge, we don't have that supply. In Singapore, we are pretty short-staffed, especially the driver sector. The logistics company may only have the ability to perform, say, 200 deliveries in a day, and they have the manpower for that 200 parcels. But during Double 11, right, this volume could surge to probably 2 to even 3 times. Say, then you are faced with like 600 parcels with the same number of manpower. And the consumers are getting higher expectation of deliveries. You want faster delivery at a lower cost. And as a result, they probably have to look at freelancers as an option. Over the last 5 to 10 years, Diana, can you tell me, are you shopping more on e-commerce or less?
More.
And do you see it reducing anytime?
No, actually not at all. If anything, people are even ordering delivery from the wet market.
It would be ideal if the government could look into reviewing the current work permit quota. Over the years, we have spoken to several different government agencies and seeking their help to take a look at whether the current system still works. 20, 30 years old, it may be relevant, but in today's context, is it still relevant?
So ideally, how much would you want to raise the foreign worker quota by?
Diana, there's no magic number to this, but I would think that a review is definitely needed given the current e-commerce scene is so different from like 5, 10, even 20 years ago. And we do see that the demand will continue to be higher. That's why the review is definitely necessary to alleviate the problems that the industry is actually facing.
In January 2021, the dependency ratio ceiling for the logistics sector in Singapore was brought down to 35% from 40% just 2 years ago. This means, in the past, the sector could hire 16 foreign workers for every 25 local hires. Now, they need roughly 30 local hires. Simply put, more locals needed for every foreigner hired. There's also a restriction on source countries. The sector can only hire workers from specific countries like South Korea, Malaysia, and China. With industries struggling to find locals to fill the roles, companies resort to engaging freelancers. But work permit holders cannot freelance. Without a work permit, foreigners also cannot apply for or convert to a Singapore Class 3 license. Foreign worker quota adjustments won't happen overnight.
All of this van load will require to be delivered to 20 to 30 different households. Just imagine that you only need to deliver to one single designated area. How much time will you be able to save?
Could this be the solution? Hiring workers without a valid work pass can mean fines of up to 30,000 Singapore dollars and a jail term of up to a year. For driving without a proper license, both employers and workers face fines up to 10,000 Singapore dollars and a jail term of up to 3 years. Those caught moonlighting may even be banned from working in Singapore. These penalties, though, haven't deterred some delivery companies from hiring foreign freelance workers who don't have a valid driving license or work permit holders who moonlight as delivery drivers. This is the agency that decides on foreign worker quotas in Singapore. I want to find out if anything can be done to address the ongoing manpower crunch.
I've been told that manpower shortages have forced some companies within the logistics sector to hire foreign workers illegally. Is there room to revise the current quota system?
MOM takes into consideration the willingness and ability of locals to enter the sector, the skill level of the sector's requirement, as well as the overall need to manage the foreign worker inflow. And in determining the right number of quota for each sector, this requires a delicate balance. On one hand, we want to be sufficiently open so that businesses can actually assess the complementary workforce and skills that they need. But on the other hand, we also want to be sufficiently tight so that it will not compromise the employment opportunities and wage growth opportunities for locals.
The e-commerce scene has changed dramatically. So what we're hearing from the ground is that people in the logistics sector are saying that we really don't have enough people, particularly in the last mile delivery sector, to be able to do the deliveries that Singaporeans want.
We do regularly engage businesses, trade associations to hear their feedback and their concern, and then we'll factor them in as part of our policy review. What we encourage companies to do actually is to embrace transformation, to adopt automation, to redesign jobs so that they can be more manpower lean and they can become more productive.
There are a lot of grey areas. For example, companies may be asking their workers who have a valid work permit to be doing some delivery services, and he could be driving a van when his license does not permit him to be driving a van. How do you then detect these workers?
We investigate complaints, and these complaints can come from public or from workers themselves. And we look into every complaint, and then we will take the necessary actions if the complaint is found to be substantiated. Platform companies can also partner MOM to tackle illegal employment. So for example, we have previously engaged platform companies, food delivery companies, to see whether they could put in place a rigorous verification process so as to ensure that the actual account user is a local and not a foreigner. We have also sent advisories to their platform workers so that these workers would be aware they are not supposed to share their accounts with a foreigner or let a foreigner misuse their account. So moving forward, these measures could also be applied to other platform companies, such as those in e-commerce.
What impact will having illegal workers have on Singaporeans?
Imagine, Diana, you are a law-abiding business and you actually pay the necessary foreign worker levy, you invest in the economy, and you actually hire enough locals to make sure that you have the sufficient quota to hire complementary foreign manpower. Another company get an illegal worker and undo whatever costs and effort you have put in order to follow the regulations. This would actually be unfair to legitimate and law-abiding businesses like yourself. From the consumer point of view, there will also be some risk. If it's an illegal worker that is delivering your parcel or taking over the goods from you to deliver to someone else, then it's whether the consumer will be prepared to trust the person, and whether if something were to go wrong, whether the consumer in the end could trace what happened in that process.
E-commerce sales in Singapore are thriving and projected to reach 32 billion Singapore dollars by 2027. Which means, like it or not, we need to find a more efficient delivery system.
This is one particular solution that consumers can self-collect at their own free time.
They look like adorable letterboxes, but they are lockers.
Yes, there are various sizes to cater for different type of parcels. One big advantage of having a big locker like this is that you'll be able to have a higher density in terms of delivery, given that one delivery driver will only need to come to one particular locker and be able to offload their parcels to its specific individual lockers, compared to having to go to individual households to deliver the items.
These self-collection points like lockers are not new. Do you think they're gaining popularity though?
From what I understand, the take-up rate is not exactly that high. Reason being is because I think partly consumers are still very tuned to have their items delivered directly to their doorstep, because these days e-commerce merchants provide free deliveries to doorstep. So that's part of the reason why pick-up lockers are not so prevalent as of now.
What will it take to make an idea like this work?
E-commerce platforms may need to incentivize consumers, probably by the way of giving vouchers or the whatnot, so that consumers are made aware and are made to use these pick lockers for their own use.
Basically, from the e-commerce platform, for example, for every 10 times that I go for self-collection, maybe I'll get a reward,
Sure.
a discount or something like this.
Yes.
Okay.
There are around 1,000 pick lockers at MRT stations and HDB estates, with an additional 150 set to be installed in new housing estates over the next 3 years. This count doesn't include lockers operated by other service providers like Pop Station and Parcel Centre.
Self-collection will definitely save a lot in terms of resources as well as the number of distance travelled for the drivers. Example, all of these items, this one, this and this, will be able to fit into one van load. All of this van load will require to be delivered to 20 to 30 different households. Just imagine that you only need to deliver to one single pick locker. How much time will you be able to save? At least a good 80%. Another solution will be to allow homeowners to be able to open up their homes so that they can be formed as like a self-pickup area for platform sales to be able to have their items placed in their premise so that consumers can go and pick up whenever that they want them. In my opinion, retirees, homemakers will be able to benefit from this because they will be able to make some pocket money out of being a self-pickup area.
When I started out on this episode, I never imagined that my online shopping deliveries could have an impact on road safety. Now I'm more likely to choose self-pickup, especially for lighter, smaller items, and save the home delivery for items I can't carry myself or when self-pickup isn't an option. Now, changing how we shop won't be easy, but if the alternative is putting my family's safety at risk on the roads, then it's worth making an effort.